Hey guys, welcome to a new video on Land of Coding. This is part 11 of Easy Food series, and in this video we will retrieve all the saved meals inside our table and show them in a RecyclerView inside the favorites fragment. So let's get started. Now open up your home view model because we wanna write the function that's gonna retrieve the data from the database inside this view model, which is home view model. Now of course we wanna have an instance from our database so we can use it to use the meal DAO. So in here, private val meal database, which is type of meal database. And now you want to have a live data, which is favorite meals live data. And this live data will equals the meal database dot meal DAO dot get all meals. Well, this function will return a live data. Let me just show you this function. Now you should remember that this function return a live data, and we said that we don't need to use a suspend function with this get all meals function because it returns a live data and the live data can be observed. And then we want to write a function that we used to write, which is going to help us to observe that live data from the outside. So observe favorite meals live data, and this will return a live data of list of meals, and now you return the favorite meals live data. Now as you can see, we added this meal database, and you know, in a view model we can pass arguments to the constructor by just passing that argument. You need to create a view model provider factory. So let's create that. We actually did that in the previous video for the meal view model, but we're gonna do it again for the home view model. So I don't wanna make this long, so I can just copy this class and paste it inside our package, and I'm gonna just change the name to home view model factory. And now of course you want to change the return class, the return data type, and we will return a home view model. And now open up your home fragment because we need to change some stuff in the home fragment. Now we don't want to initialize our view model inside the home fragment. Instead of that, we will initialize it inside the main activity, and we will get it from the main activity to the home fragment and to the favorite fragment and to the categories fragment as well, because we don't want to have 3 instances of our view model. Instead, we can have one view model in the main activity, and we can pass that view model to the fragments that we have. So in here, we don't need this line anymore. Instead of that, we go to main activity, and let's have a Latinate var view model, and this is a view model, home view model. Now this is actually not a Latinate var. Let me just edit it to val, and I want to initialize this by lazy. Now to create this view model, first we need a instance of our database. So val meal database equals meal database dot get instance, and pass the context, which is this. Also we want an instance from the home view model provider factory, which is this class. So val home view model provider factory equals home view model factory, and you're gonna pass the meal database to this constructor. Now finally the last line, you don't want to write like that. You don't want to do that because you are inside a lazy block. So you initialize the view model directly without typing it again, because the last line inside a lazy block will reassign to the view model. So we can write it. So we can write view model provider directly like that, and we will pass this. Then we will pass the home view model provider factory. Then we will pass the view model class, which is home view model. And this is class. Now we can access this view model from our other fragments. So go to your home fragment, and in here I'm gonna write view model, or actually it's home MVVM. I'm just gonna change its name. You can leave the old name, but I would like to change it to view model, and this view model will equals the view model inside the main activity. So we can get that view model from the main activity like that, activity, and cast it to the main activity, then dot, and you can get the view model. Now let's run our application. Everything should works fine. We didn't do anything new yet. We just added some stuff. And as you can see, everything works. Now let's start working with the favorites fragment. So go to your favorites fragment. Here it is, open it up, and we want to have an instance from our view model inside this favorites fragment. So private let init var view model, and this is home view model. Now I'm just gonna copy this line from here and paste it in here. Now we have our view model in our favorites fragment. Now simply what we want to do is to have a function to observe that live data. So observe favorites. Now create that function, and inside this function use the view model and call the observe favorites meal live data, then observe. Now in here you're gonna pass the view lifecycle owner as we used to, and pass observer, and this lambda expression it is a reference to our meals list, so I can change it to meals. Now we have all the meals saved inside this meals val. Now to check that we actually got all the saved meals, I'm gonna have for each loop and log the name of each meal that we have got, or I can log the ID meal. So let's see if everything works. If I go to favorites fragment, and as you can see, yes, I get the ID meals of all saved meals in our database. But while I was preparing for this video, I actually faced a bug, which is when I re-click on this favorites fragment, we get this error, and I spent like an hour or maybe more trying to solve this bug. I didn't find an answer for that. So basically the exception says that you cannot add the same observer with different life cycles, and my own solution is to change this view lifecycle owner to the activity lifecycle. So in here you're gonna write required activity to avoid this exception. Well, this is not right. This is not the right way how we can do this, but for now we're just gonna use the activity lifecycle. And if you guys know anything about this exception, please let me know in the comments, and I will try to search more about this. If I find anything, I will update you in a later video, or I will write that in the comments. So now if we try to run the application with the activity lifecycle, if I click twice on the favorites fragment, we don't get that exception anymore. So anyways, this was my own solution for this exception. If I find anything, as I said, I will keep you up to date with this exception. So now we finished 50% of the work. What left is to have a RecyclerView with an adapter to show all the meals. So let's do that. Let's open up our favorites fragment XML file, and I'm gonna change the frame layout to constraint layout, and inside this constraint layout we're gonna have a RecyclerView which gonna take match parent for both. And I'm gonna give ID for this RecyclerView, which is RV favorites. Now I'm going to add the constraints. We can add them from here, like that, horizontally with parent and vertically in parent. Now let's create a new RecyclerView adapter, and I'm gonna call it favorites meals adapter, like that, and I'm gonna inherit from RecyclerView adapter And now you're gonna pass your view holder that we haven't created yet. So view holder, and let's create that view holder, and we're gonna use view binding. Now the layout we want to use is the same layout of our category meals adapter. If I show you this layout, as you can see, this is the layout that we are going to use. So we can actually pass this layout in here, which is meal item binding, and this will inherit from view holder, and we will pass the root of this layout. Now in this class, I'm going to show you something new in your RecyclerView that can improve the performance of your RecyclerView, which is DiffUtil. So basically DiffUtil is a class that you can attach to your RecyclerView to improve its performance. But how that works? Let's say you have 100 items inside your RecyclerView. Now one of these items got changed. For example, the items in your RecyclerView are the meals, and then the user deleted one of the meals. Now in the old way, we used to use notify on data set changed. Well, this just gonna refresh all the items inside the RecyclerView. But using DiffUtil, you're only gonna refresh the item that changed, and you will leave the 99 other meals alone. We don't want to change them because they didn't change. So that will improve the performance, and you don't even want to worry about the animations because it's all included in this class. And one more thing about DiffUtil is that it works asynchronous. That means it won't affect the performance of RecyclerView. So let's get started with working with DiffUtil. So the first thing you wanna have is a private val DiffUtil. So this basically is an animus class. So object, this will be DiffUtil.item callback. Inside this item callback, you will pass meal, which is the data type you want to show inside your RecyclerView. Now close this constructor and open curly brackets, then override these two methods. Click on OK. And in here you have two functions, and the first function will compare the primary key between the old item and the new item, and the second function will compare the whole object. So to compare that, you're just gonna return old item.id meal equals to new item.id meal. So this will return true only if the ID meal of these two meals are the same. And in this function, we just need to compare the whole object. So we can return old item equals to new item. This will return true only if the two items or the two meals are the same. Now we still need one more thing to set up DiffUtil with RecyclerView. So you need val differ equals async less differ, and you will pass the adapter, which is this, and the DiffUtil, which is this. So we will use this val to set a list or to get an item from the list. Now let's implement the RecyclerView functions. So let's do that real quick. In here we're gonna return an instance from favorites view holder, and this will take a meal item binding, and in layout inflator parent.context pass parent and false. Now we want to set the information of the meal in our layout. First we want to get the meal, so we can get it like that. As we said, we're gonna use differ to get the meal or to get the whole list. So to get one item, you can use differ dot current list. This will return the meal list. Now we wanna get the meal at the position, and now we can use glide dot with holder dot item view, and we need to load the image meal. This one, we want to load it into the image view binding, and of course make this val. So binding a holder dot binding dot image meal, and now we want to set the name of the meal. So holder dot binding dot tv meal name dot text equals meal dot str meal, and this function will return the size. So differ dot current list dot size. Now go to your favorites fragment and let's set up that recycler view. Let's do that in a new function in here. So prepare RecyclerView, and before that we need an instance from the RecyclerView adapter. So favorites adapter, and this is favorites meal adapter like that. So in here I'm gonna initialize this adapter, and then I want to use binding.rv.apply to set up the recycler view. So the layout manager is grid layout manager. This will take the context, and we want to show 2 columns inside each row, so we'll pass 2 in here, and the orientation is grid layout manager dot vertical, and then pass false. Now the adapter is favorites adapter. Now finally, inside the observe favorites, we're gonna set the meals inside the adapter. So favorites adapter dot differ dot submit list, and you're gonna pass meals like that. Now let's run the application. Everything should works fine. And as you can see, we have 2 meals which we added in the previous video. Now if we add, for example, one more meal, for example this one, and get back to favorites, as you can see, we are able to see this new meal. Now I'm not gonna set the functionality of the click listener on this item, on this meals. I will leave that for you because we already did that, and yes, I will leave it for you. So that was everything for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, leave a like and subscribe to my channel. Thank you all so much for your support, and catch you in the next video. Have a good day.